All right, friends, Dr. Lewis here again. We are going to go ahead and get started on our problems. We're working on multi-step word problems using the 4 operations. As you saw by the last video, here are our learning targets. Let's go ahead and take it away. So we're going to start with number 1. It says, Mr. Gordon wants to bring punch for all 29 students in his class. 1 bottle of punch is enough for 10 students. How many bottles of punch does he need? So when you're looking at a problem like this, you want to ask yourself, what do I need to figure out? What do I know? What do I need to solve? So let's look at what we know. We know that there are 29 students in his class, and he wants to bring punch for all 29 of them. He doesn't want to leave anybody out. We also know that 1 bottle of punch is enough for 10 students. So 1 bottle of punch is enough for 10 students. And then, of course, what do we need to figure out? That's the question that's being asked. How many bottles of punch does he need? So our answer is in bottles of punch. If we're going to go back to this target where we're using a variable, we can say B for bottles. That can be our variable, is B. Okay, so let's take a moment and think about what we need to do to solve this problem. Because remember, we've got to use any one of these operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. We don't know which one to do yet. So I want you to pause the video and talk about it with your family or think about it. What are we going to do to solve this problem? All right. So you've probably noticed that we've got 29 students and they are sharing some punch. Remember, when we share, we use division. So we're taking 29 students and we're dividing them by how many bottles of punch he needs. So I want you to think about what you're going to do to solve that. All right, so if we take 29 students and we divide them by the 10 students that 1 bottle of punch is served or can serve, that'll give us how many bottles of punch Mr. Gordon wants to buy. But I bet you're looking at these and thinking, well, wait a second. 29 divided by 10, that's not going to divide evenly. There's going to be you nailed it, there's going to be a remainder in this problem. So what I want you to do before you even solve, I want you to think about what you know about numbers and how numbers work together to see how we could figure out how to solve that so that we can answer this question, how many bottles of punch does he need? So pause the video for a second, talk about it. All right, and we're back. So there are so many ways you could go about doing this. You could divide 29 divided by 10. Of course, we know there's going to be a remainder in that. You've got to figure out what to do with the remainder. You've got to be able to tell what the remainder means. So if you divided 29 by 10, I bet you could do this in a snap. Because 20 divided by 10, that's right, it's 2. It's 2. But we've got 29. So a really good trick here would to be if we rounded 29 up to 30 and took 30 divided by 10. But why? Why are we taking 30 divided by 10 when he only has 29 students? Pause the video and talk about it or think about it. All right, welcome back. So you've probably discovered that in his classroom, even though he only has 29 students, he doesn't want any of his students to be without any of the punch. And so it's okay for Mr. Gordon to buy a little extra punch in order for him to serve all of his students punch. So what we're going to do is we're rounding up 29 students to 30 students, pretending that there's one extra student in his class, because we know that 30 divided by 10 will divide evenly. And if 30 divided by 10 equals B, if we have 30 students, remember we're pretending, if we have 30 students divided by one bottle of punch is enough for 10 students, how many bottles will he need to buy? B equals 3 bottles. Now remember, you can tell me what the remainder means in your answer. If you had solved this 29 divided by 10 and you got your answer with a remainder, what would you do with it? What would happen to that remainder? What would you do with that remainder? That's right, you would be rounding it up anyway because you wouldn't want any of Mr. Gordon's students to go without punch. So, how many bottles of punch does he need? He needs 3 bottles. Sweet. Nice job, friends.